Right now, with the first presidential debate fast approaching, we are sending the candidates to debate camp. What should and shouldn't they say? Remember that $10,000 bet? You know Mitt does. I don't expect to hear that again come Wednesday night. Our power panel breaks it all down. And next, a somber milestone in Afghanistan, the 2,000th American death in our longest war. And the carnage, it does not seem to be stopping anytime soon. And later, fracking. Governor Cuomo, he's doing a U-turn on the controversial gas drilling technology and potentially putting on the brakes, at least for now. We're going to tell you who's booing and who's cheering the change of heart. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thank you so much for joining us this Monday evening, October 1st. Now, we begin with, well, what else? The presidential election. And as we turn the page in the calendar to October, we also turn it to one day closer to Election Day. October 1st means we're just 36 days until the polls open or at least close across the country. But don't expect too many campaign highlights this week, at least not till after Wednesday night. That's when President Obama and Mitt Romney go head-to-head for the first of 3 presidential debates. And the stakes, you could certainly argue, could not be higher. And to find out how both are doing here and what we're hearing is the chattering in the run-up to Wednesday evening, let's bring in Andrew Whitman, senior political correspondent.
Well, Rich, with so few days left in the race and such a small gap between the candidates, at least in the national numbers, you can look at Wednesday night's debate as do or die for each. We begin the week with the president holding on to his lead of just under 4 points in the poll averages, though the president remains well ahead in the electoral count and closing in on the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House. Several new polls out just today reinforcing those poll averages. New ABC News Washington Post poll has Obama up 2. The tracking poll from Gallup has Obama up 5. And even the Republican-leaning Rasmussen poll has the president up 3. There is clearly more pressure on Mitt Romney to have a good debate performance Wednesday. He trails in the polls we just went through, but perhaps more importantly, he's well behind in the latest poll of battleground or potential toss-up states. The ABC Washington Post poll has him down 11 in those states. What's more, in many portions of the country, voting is already underway or will be before the end of the debates. All told, 32 states will have early voting this year, excuse me, and in some swing states, including Iowa, that process has already begun. For both nominees, but especially for Romney, the debates and particularly the first debate Wednesday night may represent the best chance to make a good impression on voters or to appeal to voters who may have supported the other man. But there's an additional pressure on the Romney campaign: money. Some GOP super PAC money is already being diverted from the presidential race to races for the House and Senate, a trend that would likely continue and even increase if Romney cannot make a strong showing in the debates, as Republican fundraisers and bundlers will look to offset a possible loss in the presidential race with increased efforts to retain control of the House and perhaps win control of the Senate. There's also another worry for Team Romney, that they will need the debates to stop a feeling of inevitability that the race for the White House has already been lost. In a new poll by The Hill, a Capitol Hill-based newspaper, voters across the country believe by a 12-point margin that the president is likely to win the election, a trend that the debates can help either enhance or reverse. And both men should have the full attention of the American people, or as close to any event can come to garnering that full attention. The Pew Research Center estimates 50 million Americans will watch the debates. Many say they will watch all 90 minutes of Wednesday night's debate. For reference, in 2008, 41% of voters say they watched every minute of the debate, and a massive 80% of voters said they watched at least some of the debates. Which leads us to this subtle reminder. You can catch the first presidential debate focusing on domestic policy live right here on RNN and Fios 1 News this Wednesday night. Our coverage begins at 9 p.m. and continues through post-game analysis until 11. Again, that's Wednesday night right here on RNN and Fios 1 News. Rich?
You know, we're getting close, Andrew, and get the theme music going behind you. All right, let's bring in the panel on this. Richard Brodsky, good friend, former New York Assemblyman, senior fellow at Demos, professor at NYU, and so much more. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Ed Cox, chairman of the New York State Republican Party, and you've already met Andrew. All right, let me start, Ed, with the stakes here. Obviously, it's important. It's the first debate. Historically, the first debate gets viewed more than the subsequent ones. What do you want to hear from Mitt Romney? And if he doesn't get it done, just how much trouble could he be in?
He needs to be personable. He needs to be likable. He needs to break the image that he is an elitist who doesn't care for people, which is what the president and his political team has put on Mitt Romney. He's actually a very personable individual in person. He's got to have that come across through the tube.
And Andrew, the calendar, as we said, not his friend because of early voting this year. We're going to have more early voting. Really, a third of the people may have voted before the second debate happens here. So this is his last best chance to make a first impression. Moreover than that, we're getting reports already. Charles Gasparino from the Fox News is saying that already some of the money in New York, Chairman, you may even know where it's going, but you won't tell me, is being diverted from the Romney camp from the New York bundlers, and it's going to some of the House and Senate races here. If they feel this guy can't win this right now, and the polls certainly suggest a lot of people believe there's an inevitability, it's going to start going to where they think it'll do the most good when those competitive swing districts.
Well, we've already seen that trend starting with some of the super PAC money. Again, that report just came out from Fox Business today that some of the pledges from New York State donors may not be going to the Romney campaign. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if you can...
I was with Paul Ryan last night. He did 5 stops in Westchester and Connecticut, raised $3 million.
For his Wisconsin re-election campaign? No, okay, yeah.
No, look, the money's still coming in, unlike 4 years ago where McCain, who followed the financial rules, was outspent 2-to-1. The money's going to be competitive.
But let me take you back a little further.
The money will not decide
when
this
Bob
campaign.
Dole was at about this point against Clinton, there was this sense of inevitability. And we started to see people, both candidates on the trail, distancing themselves, and also the money start going to other places. Well, it's too early for that here. I think we'd all agree. Do you get the sense if it doesn't go well Wednesday night, we might start seeing that?
The economy was doing well in '96. There was a feeling right from the start that Clinton would get reelected. That's just the way it was. This is a different situation. This is more like 1980. With 3 weeks to go, Ronald Reagan was at 39%, and he ended up at 50%. Carter went from 47 down to 43.
Dominic, we're already hearing within the Romney camp that he's got some zingers lined up. To me, I'm grimacing when I hear this. Whenever he goes for this planned, canned line and stuff, it doesn't seem to fit him well. I mean, we all know you want to make a bet line here. It just doesn't wear well on him. Should he be either go on the aggressive, or should he be the guy like Bill Clinton was, the policy wonk guy, to say, you may not love me, you may not even like me, but I know my numbers, I know my math, I know what's the best recipe for economic recovery.
Well, Richard, how could he be the policy wonk when he won't give many specifics as to what his plans are for the White House?
Well, so maybe he will on Wednesday. What do you think?
No. Why would you wait into a debate setting to finally do that? No. It's way too late for that. In politics, perception becomes reality. Romney has to change the perception, as the chairman argues, that, he doesn't connect well with people and so on. He is going to have a few zingers. You can bet your life on that. But he didn't come up with these alone. You better believe that they are tested by pollsters and they are tested by his team, and maybe his team wrote a few of them.
Richard, we know for debates, the whole 101 is set expectations really low, that basically you're not going to trip trying to get to the stage, and that the next guy basically is the second coming that can deliver the best speech ever. But listen to what Chris Christie had to say over this weekend, and kind of flipping the script a little bit as to the expectations for Mitt Romney.
We have a candidate who is going to do extraordinarily well on Wednesday night. The first time he has the opportunity to stand on the same stage with the President of the United States, and the first time a majority of the people who are going to vote in this race will have an opportunity to make that direct comparison and see the two of them. And when they do, I've seen Mitt Romney do this before. And this whole race is going to be turned upside down come Thursday morning.
Upside down. Now, did he have to say that? Because everything else is always tamped down expectations. Did he do him a favor or not there?
Toast. The guy is toast. Okay? And let's just start with that and move to the rest.
You've learned the art of the sound bites since you left Albany, by the way, yes.
The thing I disagree with at the table here is that somehow this is about personality, style, specificity. Mitt Romney is losing because he's come up with a set of bad ideas. Those ideas are being rejected by the American people. Austerity, anti-choice, anti-contraception, an unwillingness to deal with the environment, things that voters care about, he's not with. So put all the mistakes, the gaffes, the 47%, the London, put it all aside. In the end, this campaign has been successful in drawing a distinction between the moderate, pragmatic, Keynesian economics of Obama and the Friedrich Hayek Austrian right-wing Republican congressional budget-busting stuff.
But here's my thing. Could there be a reset Wednesday night when the debate ends, that if it's even seen as a draw, the race becomes a draw. Because you couldn't have had a worse campaign, I'd argue, than the last 2 to 4 weeks from the Romney folks. And still, while they're training in every swing state with the exception of North Carolina, he's only down 2 points nationally. You could conceivably have this thing be a toss-up if he just manages to draw even.
Obama could fall flat on his face, say something stupid. The communists don't control Eastern Europe. You know, there are things that could happen. But if both men perform to their abilities, and they're both able guys,
you don't think
then
it gets
it's
closer?
toast.
All right. We, of course, will continue this conversation at the break. But I want to remind you, folks, as Andrew said, this Wednesday night on RNN FiOS 1, we will have live coverage of the debate. It begins at 9 p.m. It'll go 90 minutes to 10:30, and then at that point, we'll join you for post-game analysis and insight, and we'll even give you a chance to weigh in and tell us who you thought did well and did not. Again, that's this Wednesday night. And thank you for the theme music. All right, now, you at home, you're part of this conversation. Go to our Facebook page now if you haven't already, or Twitter to sound off. You saw some of the comments at the bottom of your screen this segment. Will you watch this presidential debate Wednesday night? And I also want to know what you're going to be particularly looking for to hear. Now, some of your comments, as we said, have been scrolling. We'll keep those comments coming. Now, when we return, we will head over to an issue that I'm sure will get some attention. The subject is Afghanistan, where the violence continues even after a tragic milestone was passed this weekend. Stay with us, everyone. Some tough questions on where we go from here.